Are you struggling to manage stress and stay focused while living with diabetes? Have you tried different methods to improve your mental resilience but still feel overwhelmed? Do you want to discover how brain fitness can lead to better diabetes management and overall health? My name is Gamden, a holistic wellness coach and the host of the Thriving with Diabetes podcast. I help people with type 2 diabetes achieve diabetes remission and avoid complications so they can live healthier, happier, and longer lives. In this episode of the Thriving with Diabetes podcast, we are joined by Arnold Beekes, a brain fitness trainer. Together, we explore brain fitness and health to lead a more fulfilling and healthier life. We hope you find this discussion helpful for diabetes, overall health, and longevity. Enjoy this episode and make sure to subscribe and follow us for more expert tips and strategies to thrive with diabetes. Arnold, welcome to the Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Let's start this episode with the concept or the principle of brain fitness. If you can give us some information about that and why is it a key component in achieving overall health and wellness?
Yes, to achieve overall health and wellness, most people are now used to that you or know that you have to exercise, you have to move, yeah? Whether you go to the gym or you go swimming or play tennis or football or you walk your dog or most people know it. And a lot of people are doing it. Not everybody, but a lot of people are doing it. They understand that they are doing it to keep themselves healthy from a physical point of view. However, what I'm saying is that the same effort and activities what you're doing for your body, you also should do for your brain fitness. Okay? Because just like with your body, after your age of 30, your abilities first very slowly start to decline. That is a natural process. Yeah? And then by the time you get older, the decline becomes steeper and faster. So just like with your body, you have to start at an early age as possible to work on your brain fitness.
Brilliant. Very interesting. So that will lead us to the next point, which is about brain sickness. I know many people might not realize that their brain can become sick, as you mentioned, or sluggish, leading to issues like mental fatigue or lack of focus and even depression. So the question is, what are some common signs of brain sickness and how can these symptoms negatively affect mental and physical health?
Well, what you see is that a lot of people are stressed out, people are overwhelmed, people are unhappy, and what you said is they have a problem with focus, keeping concentrated for a longer period of time. Yeah, and everything is focused on instant gratification and very fast, very soon, whether it's videos like TikTok and things like that, or text or quotes, but they don't read books anymore and do things which require long term. Also, a big sign of that is that people, because they're not concentrated, they're easily distracted. Eh? And that is why, but some of it is unintentional and some of it is intentional. And the intentional part is around that they don't like their work, they don't like their life, they don't like their relationship. So they do all kinds of things to escape their daily life. And that is why I'm saying is that most people, their default state is what I call brain sickness. Why am I talking about brain sickness? Because from the moment we are born, we're taught to live someone else's life. As a baby, when are you a good baby? When you do exactly what your parents tell you to do. Then a little bit later, maybe you go to school. When are you a good student? When you do what your teacher tells you to do. Then you go to, well, my primary, high school and all these things. Same story. When are you good? When you obey, when you conform, when you do exactly what the teacher tells you to do. Then maybe you go to university or a vocational training, doesn't matter. Same story. If you do exactly what you're being told, you're fine. So then you start to work. You become an employee. So when are you a good employee? When you do exactly what your boss tells you to do. So by the time we are 25, and the same applied to me, I'm only used to meeting expectations of other people. I'm only used to living someone else's life. I'm not living my own life. I'm living the life of my parents, of my teachers, of my bosses. And that causes brain sickness because we ask our brain to do something which is different than from who we are.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Before you continue watching or listening to this episode, I want to take a moment to invite you to book a call with me. If you are looking for personalized support to manage diabetes effectively and take control of your health, visit wellnessimpact.org to schedule your call today. Back to the episode. Earlier, you mentioned a great point, which is about physical fitness. Many people know what to do. It's more common, but brain fitness, maybe only a few people know about it and try to improve that. And now you are sharing another great point, which is the default state of our brain, which, and you mentioned it's brain sickness, and we need to shift that. But we will talk about that, shifting our brain or mindset, later. I wanted to ask you about the impact of stress on brain. Just to finish this point before we move to the next point. Do you have anything to share about stress and brain fitness?
Yes. Stress is from a physiological point of view, a normal response of your brain and of your body towards some danger. Yeah? It's your nervous system which reacts like, oh, there's a storm and there's a tree falling and I have to run away, otherwise the tree falls on my head. Eh? That is what they call flight or fight. Yeah? So in that moment, you're really stressed out. Or let me give, well, this is what people experienced a few days ago in the US. Yeah? But let me give another example. I can still recall from myself when you are in your car in the traffic and there's another car hits you. Then that moment your stress level goes through the roof. Yeah? You get very high adrenaline, whatever. That is a normal response of your body. So that you can act very fast and do that. But if that stress level continues and it doesn't drop down after some time where you relax and you come to your senses and it gets less, it stays at the level of stress. It puts your body and your brain on high alert all the time. And that means you cannot sleep, you cannot think properly, you cannot detach, you cannot come up with ideas, all of those things. So even it doesn't have to be huge levels of stress, but minor levels of stress, but they are continuing over months and years, that is very unhealthy.
Brilliant. Very interesting information. Thank you for sharing that. What you're saying is stress is normal and it's a normal response, but when it continues, it becomes an issue and it can affect the way we think or affect our brain directly. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I experienced it myself. I had 3 years ago a very, very severe car crash, and what I noticed is that my stress level didn't go down. So that impacted my sleep. I got tremors in my hand and which is normal given that I almost died in the accident, but. It's normal that, maybe even after a few days, whatever, it should go down to the normal level, but it didn't. And so that is not good.
Thank you for sharing your story. You know that a healthy brain supports better decision making and emotional regulation, which are critical for effective diabetes management or to overcome other health issues. So, is there anything you can share in terms of how brain health can help overcome a health issue like diabetes, for example?
Well, any health condition, any health challenge which people have, you need a high level of brain fitness to cope with that challenge, because it is a challenge in your life. It likely impacts not only your life, your relationship, maybe your work. Yeah. So in order to deal with that in a proper way rather than make it worse, that's why you need a high level of brain fitness, because if the same similarity is with your body, is like if you were very healthy and you get the flu or something like it, you recover much faster than when you are very unhealthy and you get the flu, then it can become even dangerous. So the same is true for your brain fitness. If you have to deal with your diabetes or any other health condition, you really have to be strong to deal with it, because the pain, all the nuisance, everything impacts you. But you must not make it worse. You must counter it and even try to make it better with your brain.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting. Before you continue watching or listening to this episode, I want to take a moment to invite you to book a call with me. If you are looking for personalized support to manage diabetes effectively and take control of your health, visit wellnessimpact.org to schedule your call today. Back to the episode. I have noticed on your website that you have got something or a framework called Brain Upgrade, which involves steps like reveal, recover, and relearn, which seems a systematic approach to improving brain health. Can you talk to us about your framework and how it works?
Yes, so the framework is called the 6 R's, yeah, and it starts with revealing a lot of things, but the base I just shared is that most of us are grown up in a fitting in brain operating system, and what I help with my training is to move from a fitting in brain operating system towards a flying out. That is the reveal phase. The recover phase is that you have to recover from realizing that for most likely the majority part of your life, you've been living someone else's life and not your own life. And you got to learn to reactivate skills, capabilities, talents of yourself, which were mostly intentionally suppressed. Then you got to reset and look at the world in a different way. Not look at the world as a victim, but as a person who has agency. Then there are things which you need to relearn, like your skills, your mindset, or even technology. And then the last step is to recreate. Yeah, it's like, hey, with all your new being, is like really being yourself and living your own life is like, hey, what do I want to do in the world? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What do I want to contribute? So those are the 6 R's gone down.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. This will take us to the next thing or concept that usually talk about, which is flying, fitting in or shifting from fitting in to flying out for better health. I think this is related to mindset and some tactics that you share. Can you talk about that?
Well, one of the main things, and especially with your audience, with people with diabetes or any other health condition, is that you are kind to yourself. Because we tend to blame ourselves, we tend to be critical on ourselves. And what is really, really important is that you're kind to yourself. That we call it the inner critic for a reason, but that you silence your inner critic and become, well, maybe call it even your inner fan, yeah, is that you're nice and kind and friendly towards yourself. Another part I would suggest is that people follow their curiosity. We have totally lost our curiosity. Well, we're curious about whether we get a like on social media or whether there's some kind of disaster anywhere in the world. We only look at the negative thing. But really following your curiosity is like, hey, I'm interested in Chinese culture. I'm interested in Indian cuisine. I'm interested in alternative health methods. Yeah, that you start to follow those things instead of suppressing it. Because you know where's your thing. You even go to a bookshop and look at all the magazines there and look, why don't you go this weekend and buy a magazine which you're saying, well, I don't know what to do with it, but I feel attracted to that, and that's something which I'm really curious about. Yeah? But the most important thing is that you start to take your power back. Yeah? We have given away, without realizing it, we've given away our power to our parents, to authority figures, to bosses, to maybe even to our husbands or wives, or to our children. Yeah? So for your health, your physical health, your psychological health and well-being, it's crucial that you start taking your power back and think for yourself.
Brilliant, very interesting. So the main point here is to take control of your health and life. So it's about like having a positive or a growth mindset. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And nurture that. Yeah.
Brilliant, very interesting. I have got another question before we finish this episode. What inspiring message or advice would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners to motivate them on their health journey?
Well, if you take ownership and responsibility for your own health and well-being, each human being is totally unique. You are totally unique. So what I encourage you is to unleash your uniqueness, which has been kind of a prisoner inside of you, and then use that uniqueness. So unleash your uniqueness, use your uniqueness.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your inspiring message. How can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah, the most easy way, Gamdan, is to go to my website. It's called braingym.fitness. Braingym.fitness. There I have videos which people can look at and buy around specific topics like habits, emotions, relationships, but also 2 training programs which help you in that process to make that shift. And also, if you still have some questions, whatever, there's a link to my agenda, so you can book a meeting with me and we can talk about your questions.
Thank you for sharing your contact information. Is there anything that you think we didn't cover, we had to talk about?
No, the main message, what I hope, well, I just said, is that I hope that brain fitness becomes equally important, is perceived equally important by people as body fitness.
Brilliant. That is very important. This is a special episode. It's short, but it's to the point. The first time we discuss brain fitness, maybe this episode can open a person's mind to look at their brain fitness. Thank you, Arnold, for sharing that information. Now we have come to the end of this episode, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude for our amazing guest, Arnold Beekes. Is that correct, the name?
Absolutely good, Gamdan.
Brilliant. For sharing his expertise and time with us today. I also want to thank all of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, for being a part of this episode. If you need additional guidance, you can book a call with me at wellnessimpact.org. If you found today's episode insightful and impactful, I invite you to join our community of people committed to thriving with diabetes. To stay up to date for upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe and follow us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this impactful journey. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.